Hello.
Welcome back to Starlight Talks. We do these live streams every week, Wednesdays at 7 Pacific Standard Time. Um, this week we have guest speaker Tess here, and we're going to talk about differences between neurotypical lifestyles and the atypical lifestyle. So, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, start leaving them in the comments and we'll eventually get to them and answer as many as we can. If there's any interruptions and anything, just let us know in the comments. All right. Don't feel free to check out the website, OurTism.com, for articles I've written on what it's like to live with autism, and check out, we have support groups, social groups, and we have Life Map that helps individuals on the autism spectrum with Asperger profiles and similar things deal with life. You can meet with a coach once a week and talk about what you want to work on, whether that's getting a job or living independently or just figuring out what you want to do next. Right. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining. Hi, Katie. Hi, Caroline. Right. So welcome to Starlight Talks. This week we have guest Tess, and we are talking about differences in neurotypical versus the atypical lifestyle. So let's get started. First, let's introduce who you are. You want to say just a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Tess. I'm Chloe's sister. I'm about to go into my second year of college. I don't know. Yeah.
So I thought we'd start with some stories to get going. So I know schooling can be a big issue with having autism and dealing with the school environment, and I know that you've also had some issues with like teachers and not liking you or having to handle that, and having autism a lot of times, even if a teacher doesn't have an issue with you, there can still be some issues getting the right accommodations and all that kind of stuff that comes with the differences you need as a special student. Yeah. And I know that even those who aren't atypical can still have issues getting the things they need at school. So even though it's more likely for someone who is atypical to deal with those issues, it is not just an atypical issue. And so I know you have some really great stories about going through that and what you've had to deal with and how you tried to overcome that. If you want to go into some of those stories.
Do you want me to freely just explain stories, or do you want to give me stuff and try to like compare?
Well, do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would sometimes when on the first day of school, a lot of times I would go up to my professor, introduce myself, and let them know that I'm on the spectrum and that there will be times where I will need to leave the classroom to take a test and all these kind of things. And normally with that, I try to get a feel of what the professor is like. And I can't always tell because sometimes they're like really great. I'm like, yeah, I'll make sure you get that, and I'll make sure I'll change the test and do whatever needs to be done, homework wise or whatever I was talking about. And then they'd ask me all these questions, and then I'd come in the next day and they wouldn't have done anything they said, and then they'd complain to whoever was my advocate in the learning center, who was supposed to take it. They'd be like, oh, I don't want to do that, can you do that? those kind of things. And so sometimes it would be like a big surprise. Like I'd show up the day of the test and be like, okay, I need to take it in a separate room. Can you send it down to the room I need to take it in? They're like, oh, I didn't set any of that up. And I'm like, okay, well, then how am I going to take this test? We'll take it in here this time and the next time. And that's not quite how it works. I didn't often deal with teachers that didn't like me, but I dealt with teachers that had trouble accommodating me.
I guess if I can compare something to that is I'm an athlete. So for any type of class I'm taking, I try to go in and say, hi, I'm Tess. I'm an athlete, so I have a busy schedule. There may be times where I might be missing class. I might have to leave for something, or just aware that I have an athletic schedule that might interfere. So in that way, I've had to introduce myself early on. And teachers have reacted differently to me as an athlete. Some totally understanding, totally cool with it, and accommodate everything. If I have missed a test because I had a game, they'll make sure to make it work. But I've had other professors or teachers that got very upset with me under things that had no control of mine. Like for example, I told my professor, hey, I have to leave early for a game. They had been notified by the school, but I had to leave early, and I was checking in, making sure she knew I was at school. But I'm gotta leave. Me and my teammates went to the restroom area to change into our uniforms, and then the campus was very small. So after we changed into the uniforms, me and one of the other girls went outside the bathroom to the benches right in front of it, and another girl was still changing. And then the bus would pull up like right there, which was really close to our classroom. And so we were sitting there waiting, and then I see my teacher come out of the classroom, kind of look like what's going on, and then she came straight at me, attacking me for leaving class. What am I doing? This is ridiculous. As if I had lied, like I didn't have a game and I was just playing around, but I was clearly in my uniform. We were waiting, one, for my friend to come out the bathroom, and two, the bus, not in my control, might have been a little bit late. But we were told by our coaches, we were told by the athletic staff to leave class at this time, to be ready to get on the bus at this time so we could go to the game. So there were situations like that where teachers would just get upset when things are not in your control. And I guess that could be similar to like, hey, I have these accommodations, I need to go here. And then they're like, no, you're good, you can stay. Or you could do this. And it's similar because I was like, I have to go to the game. I went outside. Then she came out and was like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, whatever she said. And so I've gone through similar. You can't say it's the same, but it's probably close enough to feeling misunderstood or feeling like maybe you had said something like, I need these accommodations, and maybe your professor was like, oh, you don't really need them. And it felt similar when I was like, I need to leave class, and I went outside, and she came, and it appeared that she thought I had been lying about needing to leave.
It doesn't feel good. Like it feels like they think you're a liar for some reason, and that they think you're a rotten kid when you're just like, no, these are things that right now I'm supposed to be doing and that I need to be successful. And so if you're on a sports team and you need to show up at a certain time and your teacher's not letting you out of class, it doesn't feel good to be questioned like that.
Yeah. And I feel I'm very responsible with my class, that yes, I'm leaving for a game, but I still make sure to get my work done. Like I wouldn't just be ditching and not be going somewhere.
And there's a respectful way to do it. Like if she questioned it, she could have called the office and go, is it really a game today? Like that kind of thing. And I wouldn't be offended if I was like, okay, I'm going to take a test in this room, and they like called the special needs center when is it true she needs to take this test here? Can someone come get her? Something like that. Like I would totally understand, not at all be offended by that. It's when it's like, well, you don't need to do that. You're going to just take it right here. Like that's like.
Yeah, it's the way it's approached seems not the best way,
Yeah.
because it could have been approached in any other way, would have been nicer or felt better. I felt in that situation I was being attacked. I felt she thought I was lying to her, I was manipulating her, when that was not the case. It might have been better if she was like, hey, is everything okay? Aren't you supposed to go to your game? Or like approach it in another way. If she was questioning me at the beginning before letting me leave, she could have said, I would like to call and make sure that that's the time you're supposed to leave for your game.
So, and you can imagine like how frustrating that can get when it's like that's a consistent feeling. You may feel that at school, you may feel that from your parents, you may feel that when you're just like, I don't feel well today, I'm having sensory issues or I'm having transitioning issues or whatever it is, and the people around you are like, just suck it up and deal with it, instead of going, okay, let's see what we can do about that and help you out. Maybe we need a break, like that kind of thing. And to feel, I know that's a common way that a lot of those who have autism or some type of atypical lifestyle will deal with that feeling, because there'll be a lot of people who have like an ableist attitude and go, there's no way you feel like that all the time, you need to get over that. And that can be a really hard way to go about things, to have to deal with that kind of thing in your life. So I know you have a lot of energy that you need to expel. And like with autism, when you are experiencing an emotion, it can be a really physical thing, which can cause stimming, which is a repetitive motion that's meant to regulate your emotion. And I know, like when people are nervous, they fidget a lot, and when and with autism, you'll see like hand flapping or biting or hair pulling or jumping up and down. That's why, especially kids with autism, they like to swing or to spin or to hang their head upside down, and jump and throw themselves against things, because they're feeling like an excitement or an anxiety or a sadness, and it's a good way to self-regulate that emotion. And I think even those who are typical feel that, and they tend to repress that, and it doesn't make that go away. It builds up and you eventually have to release that. And I know there's also vocal stimming that can happen, where like coughing, laughing, noises, even yelling, those kind of things as well, just to get that, release that energy. And I know that you can relate to that. Sometimes you're just like, I just need to let this sound out, and that can be uncomfortable if you do it in what people consider an inappropriate setting, or it can annoy somebody and like that. And it's something you might need to do, and you might not always be able to excuse yourself into another room to do. And I know, like, because repressing that will build it up to something much worse. It sucks when someone makes you feel uncomfortable for doing something that feels so natural and should be allowed and be comfortable to do in anything. Because there's nothing wrong with just sitting there and going like this if it makes you feel better.
Well, for me, like you said, I make some weird noises sometimes, but I'm just like goofy like that, so I let it out like that. An outlet for me has always been activities and keeping myself active, whether it be sports, if I have all this energy I need to get out, or an emotion, if I'm upset about something or if something's going on in my life. Athletic activity is always been an outlet for me. It always has brought me joy and helped heighten whatever's going on in my life. Say I'm really upset that day, sad, I go to do something athletic and I let all of that out within what I'm doing, being aggressive in the sport I'm playing, running really hard, whatever it is. And I feel much happier because usually I'm around people when I'm doing these athletic activities that I like. And that brings me joy. The activity itself brings me joy, and it just feels like an outlet to release it all. Also, once I started driving, another outlet for me was kind of just wandering. Um, where we live is a very nice place to just drive and look at the ocean. Sometimes I'll go down by the beach and I'll just sit and it's just calming and relaxing to me if I'm having some type of day, even if I'm not and I feel like I need to calm myself. There's a lot going on and I just need to center. I'll drive somewhere and I'll get out of my car and just be with like nature, or what it be. I'll go pick up maybe a friend and we'll go to LA, go get some ice cream and be outside, not just driving the whole time, playing music really loud, trying to like really enjoy myself and who I'm with. And that's another outlet that I've used when I have had a lot of energy or emotions, any type of emotions, been really excited and I need to see a friend, go. Or I'm sad, like a lot is going on, I need to get out of the house. I never really just stay because that's just like the worst for me. If I'm sad or mad or something and I lock myself in my room, that's it. I'm in my room and I stay sad. It doesn't help me get out of that place. But everybody's different. Some people need to lock themselves in their room to get to a better place. But for me, that's not a place where I should be because I just get stuck in my thoughts, stuck in whatever feeling I'm in and I can't get away from it, or the energy just gets built up and it's just better for me to be active and get out, maybe see a friend, maybe go to the gym, that type of stuff. Or my noises I make in the
I
house.
feel like a lot of our impulses are more helpful to us than it is to repress them. So like it might feel weird at first to like allow like noises and stems to release themselves, but like when you do let them out, I feel like that immediate satisfaction of letting it out. And I think that's and you are like around new people. I've noticed you don't do it as much, but when you're comfortable, you just like let
Well,
those
I'm
kind
the
of things.
type where I like to feel my environment a little bit. So I'm not shy, but I'm a little more quiet and I feel what's happening and then I let it all out and I don't care what people think. But like at first I'm like, okay. And there's usually, I don't think I've reached any point where I felt it out and went, I'm not going to do this because I don't care what people think in the ultimate. But I like to feel it out so I can get to know people before.
Well, there's like, is it safe to do this? Where like obviously at a funeral you'll want to step outside to make noises or like but you want to be respectful of like that environment. But if you're just like hanging out with friends and they're really judgmental of you letting something like that out in your body, then you those are very respectful friends. You should feel comfortable to do that. And I think that it's a very natural thing to allow that, to feel that, and allow that to be released.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk about processing. Because I have like an extremely delayed reaction and you have like such a fast reaction. It's so different where like you like I ask you a question, you're like immediately coming up with answers, or I have to sit here and think a little bit about how to phrase the question that like I've already prepared ahead of time. and like I have like such slow processing where like sports is not something that I react quick enough to. Like we'll play catch and I'll like not react at all and get hit by a ball that you were throwing at me. And they go, oh my god.
Or when you threw that thing at me and you're just like,
and like I've thrown things, you're not even looking at me and you hear it coming, you turn around and catch it. I'm like, how do you even know it was coming? My processing would not register something's coming at me and I'm seeing it come at me. And so like when, and I know there's times where obviously it can get slower when you're sick or when you're not feeling well and like everyone has bad days, that kind of thing. But like for the most part, like your reaction is amazing to things where mine is like super slow or non-existent. And so slow processing can be a part of autism because of there's so much information coming at you that it takes longer to distinguish like what is important and what information you should set focus on, that kind of thing. So just when you have more information, it takes longer to go through it. And so while like I'll have that conversation with someone, a typical person will be able to block out and go, all this background noise, this fan over here, this refrigerator running, these people talking over here, they're not important, and they'll only be processing the conversation that's coming at them. Where someone with autism is having to register everything coming at them in the background as well as the person talking. So it takes longer to register, okay, this is what they said, now how am I supposed to answer? Here's what I should reply with. Okay, now I'm going to reply. So it takes longer to do that, and a lot of times it's a conscious effort that they have to go through to go, okay, that's not important. That is. And you'll even hear like some people have to speak louder because they're speaking over all this noise in the background, even if that noise is actually a light, a visual or a smell, or because all of that is, they have to push that away, and sometimes someone will get quieter because they're so focused on trying to do this that they're not aware of their volume. And you'll see people have to stim when they process, and some people have to be really still when they process. And if you interrupt that process by like asking another question, it'll take longer to respond. Some aren't even able to go, I'm processing right now. And also selective mutism can happen where there's an inability even to reply, and then when there's that much information, where someone with a quick reaction is normally able to process that more quickly because they can focus on, this is what's important. So when that ball was coming, like that was the only information you had to process, and you could react so quickly. Where I had so much information, even though I was looking directly at the ball, trying to focus on it, that wasn't what my brain processed. It was something else at that moment. So I was like, oh, it hit me. But there are people also with autism that are quick reacting because they have dulled senses almost, where they aren't able to process things that they actually should be processing, because they're only focused on the one thing. So you'll see like those people tend to like need environments that have more of that information, and so they like concerts and parties, and so you'll see like those extroverts who need to go into those environments to get energy. So you'll have, not everyone with autism has slow processing, but it can be common. I'm sure that helps you with sports and with school, pulling up knowledge pretty quickly. Because like when you're in class and someone just throws a question at you, and you're like, I have an answer for that.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm on the spot. I'm pretty good at coming up with stuff or pulling things from what's going on or from my past experiences and putting it together into a thoughtful way and an educated answer most of the time. I don't know how, it just like comes to me, but I also have like a lot of thoughts going at once, and so I pull from those. So that's how my brain works, but you know that.
Yeah, because I don't like the Jeopardy questions and like the popcorn questions where like you don't raise your hand, the teacher just calls on you and says, like, I've never been able to answer those, even when like I know what the answer is because of my slow processing and like that anxiety and the pressure of the moment. Like even if I had it a second ago, it's gone. I'm just like,
I don't like those games, but I can usually come up with a pretty good answer, quick at replying. And my favorite is when they think you're not paying attention or they think you don't know the answer and they'll ask you something. And I just find it very funny when I'm like, bam, I know it.
Well, we've had it where they're like, oh, repeat what I just said. Like, I can do that. But when it's just like a random question, I'm like,
yeah.
You don't.
But if anybody wants to ask questions, definitely ask questions. We could just talk forever. Because we're sisters, so we just can keep it rolling, and we just know we're talking about ourselves. So we know a lot about ourselves and just can completely freely talk about it for a long time. But if you guys have more personal things about us, about questions in general, throw them out there. We'll answer them. Chloe will answer them. I'll answer them. Doesn't matter who they're directed towards. But yeah, feel free to. Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I love answering questions. I love when I can interact with the audience. So if you guys have any comments or questions or stories about yourself, I'd love to hear it. What else can we talk about?
Well, we can talk about different experiences with social groups. Like, say you did, well, like Lillian did theater. What was her experience in that versus like if I was in a big group, like that type of stuff. You did tennis for a little bit and had to work with groups. Like that type. No, but that type of like group interaction, like comparison.
Like activities?
Like you did film and you had to collaborate with other people and work with them.
Oh, like group projects at school, or like,
I guess you could say that, like collaborative work, comparing, like those things. I don't know.
Or like when I meet someone new, because I'm like aware that I'm not in tune to like body language and that kind of thing, because that's very common with autism, is not understanding that. And like I've done research into like what body language means, but it's so individual to each person that I really, when I meet someone, I have no idea what their body language is telling me, and it takes a really long time for me to get to know what it means. I even like straight up ask people, like, what does it mean when you're doing this? Does that mean you're cold, or does that mean you're upset? Does that mean you're nervous? And like people like when they become my friend, like are really honest about that stuff. I've never had issues asking those questions, especially when they know I have autism. But like when I first meet someone, I'm like so afraid that I'm like stepping over boundaries and not knowing it. And like I can get shy for that reason, where I'm like, I don't know you and I don't want to upset you because I know I can do things that upset people. But you're like really good at like just talking to a stranger. I'm wondering like what if you're thinking like some of those same thoughts, or if that doesn't occur to you.
I mean, it depends on the situation. I am more open to just going up to somebody like, "Hi, I'm Tess," like just starting a conversation.
Yeah. And it's really comfortable to be with you as well, and you're also like not afraid when we're in that interaction. Be like, Chloe, please, they're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
Right in front of, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
But the most difficult, I think, for everyone is people that are fake. Because they could give the best body language, be the nicest person, and then you catch them later talking bad, talking whatever, differently than how they presented themselves in front of you. And that can be exactly how you feel when you're talking to somebody. Oh, I'm totally comfortable, we're fine. And later they talk behind your back, which is a complete situation that I can relate to and go through. I'll be like, oh, they were cool. Like, they seem nice. They seem like they like me. And then a few days later, I'll hear from a friend, or I'll see them talking about me, or something that happened that like they didn't actually feel the way they acted. So there's like definitely like ways I can connect on feeling like, oh, well, I read that situation wrong, because they misled me. But being able to just talk to people, I think sometimes you just gotta let go of like worrying about what people think to some extent. I know subconsciously it's really hard to do, but I just kind of be like, whatever. If you like me, you like me. If not, like, this is who I am. I'm gonna come up to you and I'm gonna say hi and I'm gonna talk to you. If you don't like it, okay,
Well, like,
I'll go away. If you want to be my friend,
I'm not afraid like they're not gonna like me. Like if they don't like me, whatever. I'm afraid they're like misinterpreting me, where like they think I said something I didn't, or like that's what I'm afraid of. Is like they're not, or I'm misinterpreting them. Like because I don't pick up on sarcasm and jokes with a new person, because everyone's that, again, it's so individual that like people have like said sarcastic things to me and I thought they were so mean, because their first introduction they were just super sarcastic and I thought they were serious, and later on they were like, oh my god, I was sarcastic, and I had no idea. And like people, when they get to know me and I go, I don't pick up on that, they're like much better at going, okay, I'm gonna use sarcasm now. But like when I first meet someone, like I've had some really bad impressions that later on have become my friends. Just like, oh my god, that's a horrible person. And I'm like, oh, I was joking the whole time.
I don't know. I've always had a good ability to read people. Like I said, sometimes with newer people, I kind of feel out what's happening. And then once I feel out, I just jump right in with my opinions or my vocalization of anything happening. And, but I think that's not not everybody has. I just always been able to read people and I kind of enjoy it. Sometimes I'll be sitting at a baseball game or a concert and I just kind of like look around and just kind of like people watch and observe how people interact, observe just people walking by, and like I read people off of that and just kind of think in my head what's going on in their head, and like fake situations, maybe what they're talking about, like that type of stuff. And I think not on purpose, but that might have helped me a little bit read people better, is just by watching people in like big environments like concerts or baseball games where there's tons of people and tons of different types of people. But I think you're just born the way you are socially a lot of the time. You know what I mean? I don't think everybody is going to act the same way in a social situation, no matter who you are or what type of like disability you might have. Like everybody reacts different, like, and you see that in different situations, like fight or flight, or you just freeze.
Well, like when I was little and I'd like ask like what do these facial expressions mean, and it's like, well, when they're smiling they're happy, and like that's not true at all. Like because people laugh when they're uncomfortable, they laugh when they're sad, they laugh when they're angry, and so like it's really not that simple. And to know like which laugh they're doing is like, for me, impossible unless I've known them for a long time and gotten to know them. Where like when I meet someone, I'm like, it could be any kind of laugh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It could be so clear to the person just standing next to me that this person doesn't want to talk to me, and I have no idea unless they straight out say, "Okay, I'm done talking." I don't get offended when people say that.
Yeah.
But people aren't likely to say that. They're more likely to be like, "Yeah, yeah, oh, just and then people really aren't as obvious as that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll be like, "Oh, maybe they're just stretching." um, but yeah, that can be really difficult. That kind of situation. And then for me, like big groups are really intimidating, and people really like thought I was so quiet and shy because there's so much to process in a conversation when there's so many people, and I like by the time I think of something to say, we've like changed topics, and I feel uncomfortable like going, "Oh, remember what you said 5 minutes ago?" I have a comment about that, like. And so I tend to be quiet, and I love listening to people because I feel like I get more out of listening than contributing because I know what I'm going to say. I don't know what anyone else is going to say. So in that kind of situation, I'm really quiet versus like one-on-one like this. I'm talking a lot, and like it's really easy for me. And so I'll take some really interesting person from that group and be like, "Hey, if you want to hang out one-on-one, I'm down." And that person might get to know me really well, but the rest of the group doesn't, you know? And so that can be kind of frustrating that people perceive me as like not wanting to hang out because I don't talk in big groups when it's like really my selective mutism where like I literally can't. And I can't even go, "Hey guys, I can't talk right now." So that can be frustrating where like you seem to like hanging out in big groups where that's like fun for you to have like parties and like
I like both, but I do like bigger groups. I like to be able to socialize and jump around to different people and move. Well, I move around. I like to be active. So like if there's big groups, I can talk to everybody. I can move around. If there's different types of people, there could be times where I'm
multiple conversations. I can't.
Yeah, and if there's more people, there's more possible things to do. Like there's the group that might want to dance, you dance with them, and then oh my gosh, I'm tired, I need to sit down with the people that are just relaxing and just chatting, and like there's just different things. But I also do like my one-on-one time with a lot of my friends, depending on what friends. Some you can only do small dosages with, but I do like that personal time too.
Hearts and stuff. Thank you guys. Hi Robin. Thanks for joining. I know like when I get clothes, like the texture is really important, and like you have some of that where you don't like tight things that feel like restricting, and like for me having autism, some of the sensory stuff with touch can feel like overwhelming because I never stop feeling what's against my skin, and so that when there's something a little bit uncomfortable, like I feel it all day, and it really bothers me. So like all my clothes have to be soft and comfortable and make me feel nice and protected. Because and especially because again, skin on skin contact, like I don't like that. And the other uncomfortable sensations where like you like that open feeling of like.
Yeah, I like. Well, if I'm gonna get like a t-shirt, I like it loose. I like a bigger t-shirt. But I think my pants all differ in loose. It depends on how I feel that day. If I want to be more comfortable, wear looser pants versus tight. But it's not as particular, I think, as what bothers you.
Yeah.
And you have more things, like you need to make sure to wash it a certain way so it's soft the way you like it.
And I feel much better like having tighter clothes because I I like that deep pressure sensation, like because I don't like soft touch, I like hugs and stuff. So like I like feeling like closed in and like covered, and where you seem to like less closed, like to have like air against your skin. Like you have more of that, where I don't like air against my skin.
Like breathability. Yeah. And I think I go more for what it looks like and looks on versus how it feels.
And like,
because when I look at it and if I like the way it looks on me, it makes me feel better versus how it feels when I put it on makes me think it looks better. You know what I mean? I think you're the opposite. I think you put it on, and if it feels good, you're like, okay, it looks good. We're good to go. But
I mean, there is a little bit.
You know what I mean? You still like check it out more, but I think you're a little more that way. And mine is, this is, I like the colors. I like how this looks.
But like as far as importance, like it has to feel good and then look good, and might be a bonus for you. It's like look good, feel good is like a bonus.
Yeah.
And so like, and that's fine. Like I'm not gonna be like, you're narcissistic. I get it, because it gives you confidence when what you're like looking good also makes you feel good, right? It like gives you confidence when you walk out the house, and like when you meet someone, you're like, I look good, and it gives you confidence to like do things and be more adventurous. And I think that's important, is like, what if you feel beautiful and confident in what you're wearing, it gives you more energy, and it gives you that confidence to do things that you wouldn't have if you were wearing something that made you feel embarrassed or uncomfortable, whether it's looking uncomfortable or actually a sensation the clothes are giving you. And I think it's so much more important that you feel that way versus like you being told from someone else that you.
But I think it's fine if you buy clothes that are comfortable, because I've kind of like started to feel and learn that like you wear your clothes rather than you let your clothes wear you. Like if you wear something with confidence and you say I look good and you have that in your mindset, a lot of the time it looks good to other people too, which is crazy, because I'll be like, you'll think, if you think hard about it, you're like, that does not look good. But if the person's wearing it and is like, I look good, I feel good today, most of the time it'll look good, even if it's a mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you understand?
Yeah. Okay. When I like had my tricycle, like there are a lot of people who were like, oh my God, I would never have the confidence to ride that, but you look so cool riding. And I was like in like 5th grade, riding a tricycle to school, this like huge tricycle, and I loved it. And like I made it cool because I was like, I like this, and I go up to people and go, isn't this cool? I don't go, oh, do you like my tricycle? I was like, look at how cool my tricycle is. I love riding this. And look, it had like a rubber ducky
and a giant basket.
And a giant, everyone liked it because we rode to school because they put their backpacks in my basket. Yeah. And so like when you're like wearing something and you go, don't you like it? You're gonna get a much better reaction than if you go up to someone, how do I look?
And it seems as if you're questioning it rather than like, this looks great. Like, you know what I mean? To some extent. And not in an annoying way.
You'll still get some people, I'm sure, that are just not gonna give you a nice reaction. But because like when I had my yellow hair, like I got a lot of good reactions, but I also got a lot of dirty looks, like, oh, she's seeking attention and that kind of thing. And so like I just got used to that. But like it gave me confidence, and so I was happy with it. None of that bothered me because I felt so great with it. Gave me energy and happiness, and that's all that matters when you make those kind of decisions.
Definitely.
All right. Anybody have any questions? We'd love to answer them. Go to the comment section.
Or just scenarios. Maybe
Yeah.
you have something to relate, like situations, or hey, this happened to me. I just like wonder if you felt the same way, or I totally relate to your story because this similar thing happened to me when I was 8. I don't know. But yeah, hear anything would be nice.
Something that I'm slow to react to is transitions. Like when we're like going, like physically transitioning, even like going from one location to another. Sometimes I have to sit in the car and transition a little bit to getting out of the car. And like you're so impatient with that because you're like ready to jump out and go. And like, we're already here. You were already there when we left the house. I'm like, I need to sit here a little bit and allow myself to register that we have arrived and we're in a new place and then not ready to get out of the car yet. You're like, what is taking so long?
Yep.
And so you like are jumping like from transition to transition and like you transitioned before you stood up. Like there's so many times you're like sitting on the couch and go, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this now, and you're already out the door. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll come with you, and I'm like taking my time. You're like, oh my god, I'm ready to go. We're gonna already be there now. I'm like, but I need time to transition from sitting on this couch to getting off the couch, and then to walking out the door, and then to being in the car, and then to not being in the car. You're like, but I was already there when you were sitting on the couch.
Yeah. I thought of it and my mind was set. We're going there. But like, we're going there now.
And I know like that's something a lot of people get frustrated with. Is like that transition time can take a while for people, and it can just be like a small activity, like leaving the TV to go sit down at dinner or starting homework. Like it was so difficult to go transition home from school and then transition back to homework. Like, but I was done. And it took a while to transition out of that, not to transition back in. I remember like a lot of times during recess, like I didn't join in at recess because it was like, but we have to go back to the classroom. So I'm not going to transition out of the classroom because I don't have time to transition out and then transition back in. So I would like just not participate with recess sometimes because that was difficult. And so I would like sit on the benches and just talk to my friends or like stuff like that. Or they're like, do you want to go play? I'm like, no, I can't go play because I have to go back to class. And then there were other times like I would go and then we'd go play at recess and go back to class, and I don't remember anything that happened during that class because I didn't transition back to class. And I was just like sitting there trying to focus and just like nothing was really registering. I'm just like, I want to play. I'm not transitioning back to this classroom because I'm not gonna have fun in this classroom. I feel like there were so many kids that like transitioned so quickly from each activity, or like, and it was really nice, like being in the classrooms in upper school where you actually left the classroom and went to another classroom for subjects. That was really nice because it was like you physically transitioned, and so that gave you time to be like, okay, I'm replacing these books with these books, and I'm walking to a different room, and the room's set up differently, and I'm on a different desk. And so that allowed the transition sometimes much easier than just doing it. And so like when I did my homework a lot of times, I was like, okay, I'll do English and history today, and tomorrow I'll do math and science. So it was really difficult to have a schedule where like you had to do science and English on the like in the same homework. We're like, oh my god, I have to transition between these. So a lot of times like I would take a break between those in order to do it. We're like, I've seen you like answer this question on this English assignment, and then go to math, and then go to like history, and like they're all spread out. I'm like, how do you do that?
Because my mind's all over the place.
He's like, oh my god, I have all these answers. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't do that. Everyone has their own method of doing things. Because I had a friend that had to have every single piece of paper from her homework laid out before she could start her homework. And so she would be like on the floor, just like everything, just all out. And like people are different. I'd be like, well, I only want my English stuff right now. And then I put it away. And then I only want my math. And putting away, I throw it on the floor.
I was going to say, put it away.
It's just not in front of me.
Yeah, I know. I went to putting it away.
I floorganize.
I was like, I don't remember you putting stuff away.
No, I floorganize. I don't put it like, that's away. Like,
out of sight.
Not like away in the background. All right. If there's no questions, I think we'll start to wrap up. Thank you for joining me this week. We had a really nice talk.
You're welcome.
Let us know if you want to see Tess again and what topics she should bring back to the Starlight talk. And remember to come back next week. At the same time, Wednesdays at 7. Next week we're going to talk about IEPs and back to school and all that fun stuff. We have support group tomorrow at the office. Please feel free to come. You can register on the website, OurTism.com. We do support group every other Thursday in the evening at 7 o'clock. It's always nice to see new faces there. Check out my articles on the website, OurTism.com. I write about living with autism. We have Life Map available to join in social groups, all that fun stuff. Check out OurTism.com and please come back next week. Stay colorful. Goodbye.